Welcome to your first full moon and your first Magic Monday of 2023. Good morning, my loves. My name is Comet. This is Magic Monday, your astrological horoscope for the week of January 2nd to January 8th. What is happening celestially and how you are going to feel this energy within your universe tangibly and practically. Here in Magic Monday, we not only cover the ingredients that the astrology is dishing out, so Venus entering Aquarius, the Cancer full moon, the Mercury Cazimi, but we also break down how it is that you can use these ingredients to whip up the best dish within your world, how to co-create with this astrology. Because let me tell you, some of these ingredients you might not want to utilize. Like when I tell you this is an emotional full moon, full of depth, full of feeling, and as you're kind of like whipping up a souffle in your world, you could look at it and be like, I'm really not in the mood to reflect. I'm not in the mood to introspect. I don't want to cry. Let me just ignore it and see if I can bake my souffle without it. That souffle is going to come up flat this week, okay? The emotions that we are feeling are a vital component of this week's astrology, and when we numb them, when we suppress them, we are missing out on an important message. It's an important ingredient to this week's souffle, whether you realize it or not, okay? Because this full moon opposes Mercury retrograde. So essentially, this full moon is casting a spotlight on Mercury, which is messages. So there can be insights embedded within what it is that we are feeling, revelations, important emotional conversations that are needed to be had. When we suppress, when we run, when we pretend, I don't need that ingredient to make a souffle, I'm going to try to ignore what it is that I'm feeling this week, we miss out on the potent opportunities within this week's astrology. Because within astrology, I mean, this week we have like the mooniest moon, full moons, right? We have the full moon in its domicile of Cancer, right? So the moon is mooning. And it's not a coincidence within astrology that the luminary of emotions is also the luminary of intuition, okay? Because when we numb our emotions, when we're like, I do not have time to be sad, I do not have time to be nostalgic, I do not have time to be sentimental, we're numbing a lot more than that. We're numbing our intuition, we're numbing our instincts, and we're also numbing the capacity to feel things on its highest depth, right? Because when I say it's an emotional week, not everybody will cry this Cancer full moon. Some of us will. Looking at you, water signs, I probably will. But I will say not everybody will cry. Some people will experience it as deeply, deeply loving, deeply, deeply heart-centered, really anchored into what is near and dear to them, feeling really helped by those within their world, feeling really nostalgic about their past and excited about their future. It's not that everybody will be sad and a mess and crying this full moon. There will be some, just saying. But when we allow ourselves to really feel the wide range of emotions that are coming up this week, the lows can be deeply insightful and the highs can be deeply rewarding, right? So as tempting as it can be to ignore that ingredient within our cosmic souffle this week, I want to encourage you, feel it to heal it, okay, my love? So I'll be breaking down all of these influences as well as how they will come to the surface within your world thematically as well as day by day. Before I do, I just want to make a quick announcement that I would so love to see you at my free workshop Align. It'll be held January 20th to January 21st during the Aquarius new moon. We will break down the overall influences of 2023 astrology and how it is that you can co-create with these collective themes. And then we'll be breaking down individually, sign by sign, where it is that you can reap the most positive benefits, what challenges can be ahead within the year ahead, what blessings are in store for you to bucket some more energy towards. I would so love to see you. You can RSVP for free within the link in my bio. It'll be held at 10:30 a.m. PST, but I will be sending out the recording if you cannot join live. And without further ado, let's take it into vibe check of the week. Cheers, my loves. Let's make it a magical, emotive week. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. I just have a regular old cup of joe, cup of coffee, and in the viewfinder, it's very small, but it looks like from my vantage point that all you can see is pictures of me. I just want to clarify, there's pictures of me and my nephew. My sister made it for me. I love this cup. It's my very favorite cup, but I just want to set the record straight. I'm not that narcissistic that I'm drinking from a cup of just pictures of me. My nephew's in there, so cheers, let's make it a magical week. Okay, my love, so I'm gonna try putting my coffee here so I don't have to bend down every 2 seconds to take a sip, but let's take it into vibe check of the week. So vibe check of the week is essentially when we take all of these ingredients that the cosmos has given us this week, Sun square Chiron, Mercury trine Uranus, and essentially liken them to a real life scenario so that you can begin to tune into the overall thematics of this week. Now, we may be feeling this all in different realms of our life. Some people may be feeling it when it relates to their relationships, to their health, to their work, but essentially beginning to tune in to how these aspects, these planetary ingresses, this lunation is coming to the surface within our world and a practical application or a practical example of it. Vibe check of the week is reviewing old video footage from your upbringing. And you can sub in, if you didn't have a video camera growing up, you can sub in maybe a scrapbook, maybe your diaries, maybe photos. But I want you to think of that nostalgic trip down memory lane, particularly how deeply insightful it can be, okay? Because we all go on an emotional roller coaster when it comes to revisiting these relics from the past, right? For some, we can look at this footage and just be overflowing with love and appreciation and gratitude for those memories and the people that we spent those memories with and spent that time with. For some, there can be deep grief as you really tune into not only grieving the people who aren't in your life, but also grieving the past versions of yourself. There can be deep anger around how things turned out. There can be deep joy that you don't have that horrible haircut anymore. There can be a lot that comes to the surface as you revisit the past. And we're in Capricorn season, so a lot of our focus is obviously around this energy of building, gotta get that bread, gotta ascend to our goals. There's nothing wrong with that. But what if I told you that the past, revisiting the past, does have messages for you, does have wisdom for you? Now, this video is getting up a little bit late. My flight was delayed. I'm not gonna name any names, but my flight was delayed. So my filming schedule is delayed, but I did get an extended trip to my hometown, and it was deeply illuminating when I found this old video camera that I used to always like film on and sort of like revisited the footage. And yes, the emotional roller coaster ensued, certainly, but I wasn't expecting it to be as illuminating to my journey presently, as well as where it is that I'm going. Revisiting that footage and those younger versions of myself and the silly skits that I used to do was so deeply helpful and so deeply clarifying. Like, this is so embarrassing, I'm telling you. Besides me cringing, okay, most of me reviewing the footage was cringing, but parts of it I was like, wow, this is actually very insightful for where it is that I'm going next, right? Our past can have lots of insights about our future. Like, there was this trippy moment where I set up a camera. I was in my room. I must have been like 8 or something. I'm not totally sure. And this is so cringe, but I think I was bored and I was making my America's Next Top Model audition tape, right? And I said to the camera, looking at the camera, I was like, please pick me. I promise to you, if I worked in front of a camera or if I was in front of a camera, I would never complain. I would never complain. I would always be so grateful. And it was so weird looking at that footage and looking in the eyes of me at 8 years old and like really having this moment of like deep gratitude. Obviously, I'm not a model, but I am in front of a camera. And I do complain about it sometimes. I mean, it's not you guys. I love you guys. But even just being away from my equipment, not being able to film. Sometimes I film for a long time because I've got this Gemini midheaven. I'm chatty. I need to reel it in. It takes a lot of my energy. Again, I love it. It is a labor of love. A lot of time goes into it though. And sometimes I do complain, or I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have to film today. I wish I could go to the beach, or what have you. But looking at the younger version of myself, it really sharpened into focus. Wow. Like, I need to never complain again. Do you realize how blessed you are? Do you realize this was something that you wanted to do ever since you were younger? What would she think about you? You baby, sit down and film. Like, girl, the beach will be there tomorrow. You live in San Diego. Like, it was so deeply clarifying around like sharpening into focus, like how much I've been taking for granted within my world, but also sharpening into focus certain energies of like pride, I guess, in the versions of myself that I've been able to hold on to. Like, when I looked at that old footage, just seeing myself talking to a camera, crazy hand gestures, always a mess, crazy hair. Like, it's the same girl. She's had a lot more life experience, but I'm really proud of the essence of myself that I've been able to hold on to, my sensitivity, my excitement for life. As much as this world has tried to beat it out of me, I won't lose it. I won't lose it to this point. I think my 8-year-old self would be proud of that. She would think I was lame for complaining about filming. But there was also parts, there's parts that I was like, okay, I'm so happy I maintain that portion of myself, and I'm gonna bring that into what it is that I'm building. I'm gonna make that 8-year-old version of myself proud. Like, obviously, with the energy, the axis of the Capricorn sun and the Cancer moon, it's like, what's the past that built you, and how can you build your future in a way that honors and celebrates the past iterations of yourself, as well as like your roots, your lineage, your ancestry, all of these things. Like, there is this axis that's being illuminated this week around, yes, revisiting the past. Woo, that car feels me on it. Yes, revisiting the past, not getting stuck there. Like, I just took that night, revisited the footage, and kept it moving, taking the insights, taking the messages as you revisiting those memories, revisiting that love, revisiting those friendships, whatever comes up for you as you revisit, footage and look at younger versions of yourself, previous chapters within your journey, not getting stuck there, not getting stuck within those emotions, allowing them, crying, laughing as you revisit, but also observing the notes that can be taken with you into the future. So for you, maybe it's not video footage and your cringy America's Next Top Model audition when you're 8 years old. Maybe it's looking at old diary entries and remembering how much it was that you loved a particular passion that you no longer make time for. Maybe it's revisiting photos and realizing, how confident you used to be and wanting to get back to that version of yourself. It's deeply productive to revisit the past every so often. And I know this Capricorn energy will make you feel like it is not, right? Like, gotta build, gotta hustle. Before we build, let's ensure we're building the right stuff. Let's ensure that we are keeping alive the most raw components of our being. Let's ensure that we are taking time to reflect in order to grow. Like, if we don't understand our past and our patterns, we are doomed to repeat it, right? We think of that typically in terms of like history textbooks and politics, but it's also true with the personal lens. Like, if we continually are just building and building and building without taking a moment to be like, okay, what have I built? Do I want to continue to go in this direction? Have I processed the past couple of steps of what it is that I've built? We are constantly in this loop where I just don't want you to get to a moment where you get to the top and realize, this is not where I wanted to go at all. My 8-year-old self would look at me and think I was so lame because I don't still have this passion, and I've allowed myself to get so serious and all of these things. So the reason this is our vibe check is obviously the Cancer full moon, the axis of the Capricorn sun and the Cancer moon. The Cancer moon trines Neptune. So when I say all of the feels and let them come to the surface. And then the opposition to Mercury retrograde, which is naturally very introspective. It's naturally very reflective on the past, on our roots, on the core component of our being, on what it is that we are evolving beyond, really deeply understanding the patterns we've been stuck in, but also revisiting aspects of ourselves that we miss, aspects of our life that we want to reclaim, aspects of our confidence or our creativity that we want to embody once again. And you can, it still exists within you, right? And also we have Sun Chiron this week. And Sun is a spotlight on our Chiron story, insecurities and woundings, because let's be honest, revisiting that footage, it can trigger an ouch or 12 or even 12 million, right? It's not always easy to walk down memory lane. It can be deeply heartbreaking. But this aspect kind of gently pulls out the insecurities and the woundings and how it was that it made us the person that we are. How it is that it informed what it is that we are building. And particularly with the happening building up to the Cancer full moon, it's important to illuminate that wound. Again, if we keep running and running and running and building and building and building without taking time to integrate our healing upon that pursuit, it doesn't fix it once you've achieved all that you want to achieve and that you have all that you want. It needs to be part of the journey. It's not there awaiting. I chatted about that, I believe, in my Mercury retrograde video, which you're gonna want to check out for sure. So without further ado, let's take it into our day-by-day forecast. I just want to let you know that anytime that I mention a time, it will be PST, as I am located on the west coast of the United States. That's otherwise known as GMT -8. So make sure to adjust the time before putting it into your planner. I also want to let you know that the timestamps are available below if you want to jump to a particular day, reflect back on a particular day. That would certainly be in alignment with this Cancer full moon. Without further ado, let's take it into the astrology of Monday, January 2nd. So good morning, my loves. Welcome to your astrology forecast for January 2nd, 2023. So firstly, Sun squares Chiron today, and this is an ouch, let's be real. And there's a big spotlight on the ouch, and the ouch is particularly the I'm not enough ouch, right? Because parts of reviewing the video footage, it's like, wow, that version of myself would be so proud of what a great cook I am, of, you know, my marriage, of what have you. But also when we revisit footage, there can also be certain illuminations around, how I always said I wanted to have babies by 24, and that just has not gone according to plan. Always thought I would be this famous musician by this point. What's wrong with me? How did my future get here? Because let's consider the signs that are essentially aspecting here. We have the sun in Capricorn, which, like I said, the sun in Capricorn essentially drawing a spotlight to what it is that we have built within our world. It is about prestige, it is about accomplishment, it is about reputation, ascending to the peak of our ability, but just ascending to the peak of our ability to be the best version that we can possibly be, right? We have this very ambitious, productive sun squaring off with Chiron in Aries, which it's sort of illuminating there's something around me that's wrong. If I only could achieve more, do more, then I wouldn't feel like this. I wouldn't have these same insecurities. But I want you to know, new levels, new devils. When you get to any new level within your world, any new chapter within your world, there's still problems, there's still issues, there's still demons that you battle up against, and insecurities that are almost heightened by every new level of success or every new milestone that you reach within your world. It certainly isn't fixed like that, right? And the thing about this aspect is that it makes us feel like I need to be doing more, I need to be hustling harder, like trying to outrun the hurt or outrun the wounding. And I just want to encourage you not to do so. Firstly, there's nowhere that you need to be right now, okay? There's nowhere you need to be. Mercury's retrograde, Mars is retrograde. We're being asked to handle past projects, handle loose ends, seek to move into the new year slowly and steadily. Again, I'm not saying suppress the wounds, the insecurities, the ouches that come to the surface. Feel them, certainly allow them to come to the surface. Notice what it is that they're showing you, but also notice, even if you feel like, if only I had a boyfriend, I wouldn't be feeling this way. If only my business was doing better, I wouldn't be feeling this way. If only this, if only that, like, your outward successes will not create internal satisfaction and fulfillment and healing as much as your mind every so often will try to convince you that it will. So I just want to let you know on Monday, being aware of where that could be coming to the surface within your world around, I should be doing more, I should be achieving more, I thought I'd be further. I'm looking at everybody's 2022 recaps and everybody else was videoing their entire year. Where's my cute 2022 recap? What did I do this year? Like, I just want you to be gentle with yourself around, I've got to do more, I've got to be more. What's wrong with me? Like, it could be a deeply critical influence. Also on Monday, Venus enters Aquarius. So Venus is shifting from the grounded terrain of Capricorn into the very free-spirited, humanitarian focused airs of Aquarius. So with this shift, again, you'll want to look at which house it's coming to the surface within your world. But with this shift, the focus is drawn to our friendships, to our communities, to our groups. With Venus in Aquarius, we might find that we're really looking to define our relationships in our own way. Maybe it's a release of the conventional feelings around this is what a relationship should be. It really asks us to define it in our own way. And we'll chat more about this in coming weeks, but I will say, like with Venus in Aquarius, we might be a little bit more detached or just craving a little bit more space from our friendships or from our relationship. We might be really craving a friendship within our relationship, as well as just craving to be around like-minded individuals. We could feel a little bit more social. And when it comes to how it is that we express ourselves, our aesthetic, we could be feeling a little bit more funky. We could be feeling a little bit more innovative or unique. anything of that nature. So moon aspects, if you need to get some stuff done today, if you need to be productive, I would deeply recommend trying to get a bulk of it done in the earlier portion of the day. The moon is void at 2:16 p.m. PST. Now, it is debated within astrology whether the moon can truly go void and a sign is exalted in. It is exalted within Taurus, so up to you. I would be a little cautious. The moon will be void from 2:16 to 6:44 p.m., at which point it enters Gemini. So within the morning time, there is this energy of restriction, of blockages. The moon squares off with Saturn, but then it trines Mercury and Capricorn, so we can find a solution. So where it is that you are bumping up against issues or restrictions or blockages, think to find a solution. Like, I do think that is a key part of Mercury being retrograde within Capricorn trining Uranus this week, is around, okay, I keep getting into this cycle within my world. Like, I'm looking at this footage of me when I was 8, and I'm reading my diaries of me when I was 16, and this same loop has been playing within me, or the same cycle keeps repeating within my world. Like, Mercury retrograde with all this Uranus energy, and this particular energy is just, you know, the moon trining Mercury, but it's related because it's energy around, okay, I'm experiencing this restriction, I'm experiencing this cycle. What am I going to do about it? What's an innovative solution that will gently guide me into a new direction? If I don't take that moment to reflect on why does this pattern keep happening? Why do I keep doing this to myself? Why do I keep getting to this same issue within multiple different relationships, within multiple different jobs? What am I to learn here? Because oftentimes it's said, like, if we don't learn the lesson the first time, the universe will send that lesson to us, multiple jobs, multiple people, until we grasp it. And so that's the gift of slowing down and reflecting, is that when we slow down and reflect, we take that moment to be like, okay, what was the lesson here that I need to extract? What did I need to learn about that version of myself? What insights and gifts can I glean from this? So I just want to highlight in the morning time to an aspect. So it's a brief little thing, but if you wake up so annoyed because that shelf in your house has fallen down, or that coworker is blowing up your phone, seek for ways to fix it. Do you need to affix that shelf better? Do you need to set a boundary with your coworker? What would solve this from occurring? And then the sun squares Chiron at 8:02. So again, just being mindful around not feeling wounded in regards to your life force, your confidence, right? I don't know if anybody else does this, but I absolutely, like, let's say if it were me and the shelf fell down, I almost take it as like a personal attack, where I'm like, I am horrible. Why do I not even know how to put up a shelf? Like, oftentimes we so easily go on the attack when it comes to ourselves, and that's just the vibe with Chiron squaring the sun, is around feeling like we are not enough, feeling like confidence is kind of wounded. And with the energy in Chiron, it can be a tired old insecurity. Like, even an insecurity, when you revisit, you know, versions of yourself that you were 8, you're like, I still felt dumb at that age, and why am I still running into this, right? The moon enters Gemini at 6:44, and honestly, great opportunity for a date night. Like I said, with Venus now in Aquarius, there is a call for connection and for communities. We can be noticing we're feeling a little bit more social, whether it's like socially online. We're wanting to connect. We're wanting to be around like-minded individuals. And with the moon in Gemini, we're feeling chatty. We want to connect. We want to learn. And the moon trines that Venus in Aquarius. So we're finding pleasure via being around people. So great time for like a double date. And with sextile Jupiter and Aries, maybe somewhere that you've never been. Something of that nature. You know, make it Magic Monday, okay? Tuesday the 3rd feels to be very emotionally busy. The Gemini moon conjoins the Gemini Mars. Again, being so mindful and so conscious around going slow. Like, I know that's infuriating, especially with all Capricorn energies. Like, we don't have time to review old footage and look at scrapbooks and cry. We don't have time. We have things to do. We have things to build. Get to it. Go slow, okay? Take your time. With the moon on Mars, we can feel a little bit more in a rush, and thus a little bit more impulsive, and sometimes a little bit more prone to accidents. Again, I'm not putting it out there, but I would just say when it comes to driving, when it comes to getting to where it needs to go, when it comes to technological projects, go slow, okay? Because let me tell you, this Mars in Gemini is answering to Mercury, who is also retrograde. So we have two placements that are like kind of driving backwards in a sense. They're both not running at full capacity. So just try to be cautious, be careful. You can also just notice emotionally you're a little bit more flammable. You're a little bit more incensed. You're a little bit more riled up, right? So also just being mindful as it relates to like your responses. Like you can find you feel more angry, you feel more frustrated, you want to scream, you want to kick something. Again, a lot of people are experiencing frustrations with this Mars retrograde. And like I said about the emotions this week, your anger is not wrong. Your, insecurities from that Sun square Chiron yesterday, they're not wrong. Sadness, nostalgia, not wrong. We have to allow the full spectrum of emotions this week. So I'm not saying your anger is wrong. I just want you to be mindful about any sort of like lashing out, breaking things, snapping at somebody, right? Find some way to kind of work through that. Like I would definitely say Tuesday is a really lovely day to work out. You also could just notice your mind is a little bit more restless. It's a little bit more hard to stay on track. Take that energy, all this energy of Mars, and put it into something and give yourself a cushion. For goodness sakes, give yourself a cushion. Give yourself a cushion on getting that final project into your professor or into your boss. Give yourself a cushion when it comes to driving to that meeting, driving to your interview. Give yourself a cushion so that you are not rushed, right? When we are in a rush, when we're so concerned around, I need to get here, I need to get here, I need to get here, that we don't take a moment to, check the traffic patterns. Check if that place is even open today. Read the signs. Notice the construction and realize you need to go a different way. Like oftentimes when we are in a rush, we're almost just like tunnel vision, that we could be missing important signs or important components that would be helpful to getting to where it is that we want to go. So I want you to sort of observe where you're feeling this tendency to speed up and choose to slow down, okay? You revisiting the past is not a waste of time. You getting to a meeting 10 minutes early and not feeling like you have to maximize every minute of your life, it's not going to be make or break. Choose to go slow even if you're feeling impatient or like everything needs to happen yesterday. Again, doesn't matter how quickly we get to our destination if we end up in the wrong place, okay? That's a huge message with this full moon and with Mercury retrograde in Capricorn overall. On Wednesday the 4th, a cosmic blessing, we have Venus sextile Jupiter. And I want to let you know there is a tonal difference as it relates to sextiles and trines. They're both positive, harmonious flows of energy. The trines bring a bit more ease and sextiles bring a little bit more of an opportunity. Okay, so it's not a given. When you read those recipes and it's like shaved almonds optional, but you're like, this would taste amazing with shaved almonds. That's kind of like what sextiles are. It's like we have the ingredient. We don't have to put it in our souffle if we don't want to, but it's there. So the ingredient that you have the option to utilize, I would encourage you to utilize it, is this energy around connection, expansion, abundance, pleasure. It's a good day to feel good. It's a good day to prioritize feeling good, okay? And to make that part of the journey. Feeling good is part of the journey. Not feeling like you have to deny yourself until you reach that goal, until you reach that milestone, until you have that family, until this person forgives you. Like with Venus sextile Jupiter, it asks us to find the pleasure and the enjoyment within the now, as well as within our communities, within our friendships. So this would be a great time to spend time with some loved ones, to eat something delicious, to dress nice. It's expanding all things Venus, which is money, which is beauty. And with Venus and Aquarius, community, like-minded individuals. So I want you to put in this ingredient. I want you to activate and prioritize on Wednesday. Prioritize feeling good. And this feels like the part of the video footage where there's like these nostalgic feels and this appreciation for that iteration, that friend group and that community. I was in my hometown, for weeks, not blaming anybody, but I was in my hometown for weeks. I have, by the grace of God, gotten home. But anyways, I was home for a long time and it was just such a trip down memory lane. I saw so many old friends. I also had my high school reunion, which was a trip. And then I found all this footage. So it's just like nostalgia piled on nostalgia piled on nostalgia. It was like so deeply enjoyable. Like there's a lot of people, like I genuinely enjoy their presence and them as humans and the experiences that we had together, that it was like so lovely to kind of revisit that footage. As well as it was cool to just chat with my friends that I grew up with and be like, what what was going on with us. With Venus sextile Jupiter, it's just like taking that moment to appreciate the people within your world, to appreciate the love within your life, to appreciate the beauty within your life, the pleasure within your life. A great day to be grateful, as well as to really feel into the abundance around you. Abundance shows up in a lot of different ways. You might not feel necessarily abundant financially, but you may feel very abundant when it comes to the love in your life. You may not feel abundant when it comes to the love in your life, but you could feel very abundant when it relates to the creative energy that you have, or to the time that you have at your disposal, to your connection to spirit, your connection to God, attuning to where it is that you feel abundant and expanding it, right? Like, this is an opportunity aspect because it's not a given, but I want you to find those moments of Venus, right? Finding those moments of community with Venus and Aquarius, finding those moments of beauty, finding those moments of pleasure, expanding them, because a grateful heart is a magnet for blessings. And when you tune in on what's going well on this day, it just feels like that energy will multiply. And aspect wise, really great day as it relates to focus. The Gemini moon trine Saturn Aquarius. So, you know, on Tuesday, you could feel like your mind was being bounced around like a ping pong ball. But luckily on Wednesday, we're kind of streamlining. You know, we have all the curiosity and the communicative energy of Gemini, but the trine to Saturn's like, okay, let's focus. Let's find all of these ideas and put it towards what it is that we are doing. But then the Gemini moon goes on to square Neptune, so we could find that our head is in the clouds. So just strive to be as productive as possible prior to 3:54 p.m. PST. And then that evening, the moon sextiles Chiron, because then at that point, the Gemini moon will build to square Neptune, which exacts at 4:08, and then the moon is void from that point onward. So just have a really productive moment. And when it's 4:08, no need to work any longer. If you have to stay at work until 5, just do one of these, open a Microsoft Word doc and pretend to type. I'm just kidding. I just want to do the most important thing ever after 4:08. Thursday the 5th, the moon enters Cancer at 6:15 a.m. So my East Coast loves, my European loves, do know that the moon is void prior to that point. So I know that's a little later in the day for you. So I just want you to have that within your awareness. And the moon enters the sign of the full moon. Full moon time, baby. And that means emotions are building. Just think, every time you look up and that moon is looking bigger and bigger, just think, your emotions, the emotions of those around us are getting bigger and bigger, right? Especially with the mooniest moon in existence, right? It's a moon in domicile, so it's mooning strong, okay? And when it's mooning strong, our intuition is strong, our instincts are strong, our desire for nurturing is strong, our love is strong, and our emotions are strong. So this full moon will not be as pivotal for every single human on this planet. I will have a Cancer full moon video. It'll be posted the day after this one. Like I said, not naming any names, but a certain airline messed with the filming schedule, but I'm not saying it. You know, but it's okay. Life goes on. But the Cancer full moon video will be posted on Tuesday, the day after this one. So make sure to look where it's activating within your chart, because some of you could be just having this gentle guide towards nostalgia or just reflecting. Be like, oh, just good feels. And some people, these feels are going to be a little bit more intense. So you'll definitely want to tune into where the story is playing out within your world, what feels are coming to the surface. But I just want to prep you around their building. And if you're not feeling necessarily emotional, just ensure that you're holding space for those within your life who are. Allow them to feel held, allow them to feel nurtured, allow them to feel safe to cry to you, to vent to you, to reminisce with you, possibly to reflect with you. And also on Thursday, the Capricorn sun trines Uranus and Taurus. And this was the energy I was talking about, in that there can be lots of insights that are generated as we reflect on the past. Like, again, we don't understand the past, we are doomed to repeat it. Okay, whether that's personally or societally, we need to understand where it is that we've been so that we can sharpen into focus around where it is that we're going, right? And not get stuck in the same loops that we've been stuck in since we were younger. Like, we have to really deeply understand what it is that we are running from, why it is that we want what we want, who it is that we are, right? Before we can really build our future in an intelligent way, right? And also on Thursday, we have Sun trine Uranus, okay? So there's some novel, innovative energy coming in. When we reflect on the past, sometimes there can be new ideas, right? It's so fascinating when we interact with the past, because the past in many ways is static, but in many ways it's dynamic. When we revisit the footage, it's always going to be as it is. We are the ones who are changing. And as we change, what it is that we tune into, what it is that we observe changes. So thus, you could argue that even though those photos, that footage, that scrapbook is exactly the same, it's constantly in flux. It's constantly shifting because we are shifting. And there might be certain times that we review it when, you know, our relationship isn't going so great, and we review, you know, how confident we used to feel in ourselves, right? Before we were like filled with self-doubt, being in this relationship with someone who wasn't right for us. Or maybe if you're really joyful when it comes to your career, revisiting footage and times of your life when you didn't know what you wanted to do with your life and just having an appreciation. Like, we tune into different things at different stages of our life as we revisit these relics and this footage. So it is both something that is static and constant, as well as something that is dynamic and evolving. And the messages that can be embedded for us can constantly be shifting, because the energy of this aspect, Sun, Trine, Uranus. Uranus is about the new, it's about the novel, it's about the innovative. Again, I'm not saying you need to launch all these things. Mercury is retrograde, Mars is retrograde. Hence why we're having the Align workshop once those guys have station direct, okay? If you want to join me January 20th to January 21st, RSVP below. But there's new energy coming in when it comes to old problems, old cycles, old patterns, okay? So I want you to observe what you're butting up against, because like I said with Mercury retrograde, it could be delays, there could be issues, there could be miscommunications, it could be frustrating, right? But rather than just being like, oh, that was so annoying, I want you to take a moment to be like, okay, this problem keeps coming up. How are we gonna solve it, right? Because revisiting the past or having these certain delays isn't going to be deeply helpful unless you take the insights from it and apply it into some sort of new solution, right? Revisiting the past and observing, wow, I keep getting stuck in this loop. I keep having these issues with my confidence. You can get stuck in that loop, or you can find opportunities to shift it, to understand it, to reflect on it, and the capacity to evolve beyond it, okay? So with Sun, Trine, Uranus, you know, this happens on the heels in terms of Sun aspect from Sun squaring Chiron. So it's like, I keep coming into this issue when it comes to my healing journey, when it comes to my confidence. What can I do about it? Right? How can I move forward? How can I invite in some novel, innovative energy into my world? Because this aspect is lovely, because Uranus is innovative, it's rebellious, it's individualistic, and these are occurring in earthy signs, very grounded. So we're really looking for practical solutions to tired old problems. So again, reflecting can be some of the most productive things that you can do, I promise you. And then also on Thursday, you know, I'm gonna keep saying this every single day, but your emotions could be big. The Cancer moon squares off with Jupiter in Aries, so it's expanding our emotions, many of which can be impulsive and can be deeply strong, and maybe not only grieving for ourselves, but grieving for our community or our family or our friends or society overall. Like, again, allow those emotions to come in, and also just being mindful around what it is that you turn to in order to nurture yourself. With moon square Jupiter, it could be like this energy around, I'll feel better after I eat these things of milk duds, or after I finish this bottle of wine. Nothing's wrong with milk duds, nothing's wrong with wine, but be mindful around where it is that you are seeking to numb or suppress the emotions, because again, those messages we're looking for, those insights, that new idea around how we solve these tired old patterns and cycles that we've been stuck in, what it is that we honor the old versions of ourselves, those messages are embedded within these uncomfortable feelings. So just being mindful around, you know, where it is that you are suppressing those emotions, right? As well as where it is that you can be, what's the word, suffocating individuals with your love or wanting to do their push-ups for them. My mentor tells me this. She's like, you cannot do people's push-ups for them, right? They won't get any stronger. It's also being mindful around, yes, be the container, be the vent for those in your life who are feeling big things. Also know at the end of the day, it's their work to do. You can be a pal, you can be a shoulder to cry on, you cannot solve all of their problems. And maybe it's not a friendship, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's your child, maybe it's a colleague. But again, love them, be there for them, be present with your love, be present with your attention, but also understand where it is that you're seeking to utterly take their pain away or utterly fix things for them, how devastating it can be to watch someone that you love so much be sad. But again, that's what teaches us, right? We learn from our mistakes. We learn from touching the stove when it's hot. We don't touch the stove again. We learn by falling and getting back up. We learn from that. The only thing that we don't learn from is if we don't take a moment to integrate those lessons, right? Which is what this week is really calling for. So just being mindful on Thursday around where it is that you're trying to avoid or run from or nurture someone out of feeling the emotions that need to come up this week, right? So on Friday the 6th, the Cancer full moon exacts at 3:08 p.m. So again, on full moon days, allow those emotions to build and build and build as this full moon builds and builds and builds. And the full moon is in opposition to Mercury retrograde. So it's essentially shining a spotlight on our Mercury retrograde story. So you also could get certain illuminations or pushes towards what Mercury retrograde has been trying to bring to the surface within your world. The structural or foundational issues within your world, how it is that you could be using your energy more efficiently, more productively, what it is that you want, and if it's truly in alignment with your journey and the person that you are. This moon is casting a spotlight on it. Also, if you've just been having annoying stuff with Mercury retrograde, this full moon could be casting a spotlight on it. And there is a nostalgic vibe about this full moon. Again, Cancer is the energy around home, family, roots, ancestry, lineage, where it is that we have come from, right? So with Cancer full moon, like I know a lot of people have challenging relationships with that. And I always say this when I have someone who has like a strong, fourth house energy within their chart or strong Cancer energy within their chart. Like, yes, there is a connection within your chart around lineage, roots, ancestry, all of these themes. And it doesn't mean that those arenas of your life are perfect. Like oftentimes if there's a strong individual who has a concentration there, it's either that the family, the roots, the heritage, the lineage, the ancestry can be pivotal in regards to either I know what it is that I want to be, or what I've also seen just as much, I know what I'm not going to be. I am not going to repeat the cycles that have played out within my ancestry, that have played out within my lineage, right? Like I am so certain around how I'm going to break this pattern. And so that's the energy of Cancer full moon. If we try to run and achieve our way out of healing this Capricorn season, this Mercury retrograde Capricorn, I'm telling you, you're just delaying the inevitable. All of that work, all of that stuff coming to the surface, right? And this Cancer full moon is just asking us to have this moment of appreciation for where it is that we come from. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was perfect, but appreciating what it is that it taught you, how it was that it defined. That is not what I'm going to be. Honoring the prior incarnations of yourself who is still alive within you, right? That inner child within you. And Cancer typically isn't associated with inner child, it's more so Leo, but I love to think of Cancer as this idea around the roots by which our world is built on. And our younger version of ourselves is absolutely part of our roots, right? Getting back to those raw components of yourself, observing where it is that the younger version of yourself would be like, oh my gosh, you lived the coolest life, you made our dream come true, and where they would be like, oh, but we used to love dancing, why don't you do it anymore? Or like, oh, you used to always feel comfortable to tell your jokes in public and to dance in public, where did that go? Certainly appreciate how you've grown beyond it. Like, my gosh, my haircuts in that footage, I just would not brush my hair. I literally refused to. Just call it the Aquarius placements in my chart. I was just a rebel. I did not want to brush my hair. So it was just like a mop everywhere I was going. So I'm glad I extended beyond that. I mean, a lot of cringe within that videotape that I'm glad that I'm grown up beyond. A lot of toxic traits within myself that I'm so grateful that I've grown beyond. Again, I'm not saying you have to be exactly the person that you were at 8, but just acknowledging those little parts to yourself that you miss or that you want to protect, that you want to make safe. And the Cancer full moon illuminates that. So again, with this full moon opposing Mercury, there can be a message within our emotions, right? There could be a message in your tears. There could be a message in why you're feeling angry. There could also be a message in how loving and heart-centered you're feeling. Like, that's the best utilization of this Cancer full moon, is to celebrate and appreciate what in your life makes you feel safe, who in your life makes you feel safe and deeply held to an individual, right? To your rawest core. That's a lovely way for it to celebrate. I would just lean into these opportunities around allowing your emotions to come to the surface within their totality, within their fullness during this full moon, especially with this lunation trining Neptune, which again, it heightens sensitivity, certainly, of not only our emotions, but those around us. So I would just be mindful when it comes to going into very, very crowded places during this full moon, because it can be very overwhelming. But again, with this lunation sextiling Uranus, there's insights that can be generated when we revisit the past. Oftentimes when we revisit and reflect, that can be some of the most productive time that we can do, which is why Cosmos is so generous to dole out every so often a Mercury retrograde in order to really recalibrate, right? Recalibrate who it is that we've been and who it is that we are embodying, who it is that we are stepping into. And while we can get insights on our future, I want you to allow the emotions of the past and allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to grieve over prior incarnations of who it is that you've been, people that you miss. experiences you wish you would have had, experiences you wish you wouldn't had. This lunation does square Chiron in Aries. So these emotions can be triggering. It can be deeply wounding. It can make us feel like we are not enough or life is not enough. And I just would encourage you, as scary and as uncomfortable emotions can be that are coming to the surface, I promise you there's a message within them. And crying can be such a deep release. Like, honestly, I'm such an advocate for crying. I'm so glad whichever Magic Monday that was when y'all were feeling me on that. It can be deeply healing to allow that release. So on Saturday, the 7th, we have a Mercury Cazimi. And what that means, Cazimi means in the heart of the sun. It's when a planet essentially is at the same degree as the sun, and thus the sun absorbs its light, right? And here it's with Mercury. So there's a message, there's a spotlight, right? And Mercury's retrograde. So there's a spotlight, right? On the foundations, on the structures of our world, on our ambitions, on our past, on these delays. There is a spotlight, there's a message. And it could be a message that comes from inside the house. It could be a message that comes from an email or someone within your life, but just being open to messages that come up, as well as to clarifying communications. Because again, sun is a spotlight and a strong awareness around things that make sense. Like with Mercury, it's like, oh, that's why I keep getting stuck into that loop. It's stemming from my inherent lack of self-worth. Got it. Or like, oh, that's why I always feel so uncomfortable being seen, because I grew up in an environment that made me feel like it was not safe to be seen. With Sun Mercury, it's like that aha moment when you're in a cycle and you're realizing, wait, I'm in a cycle. I am in a cycle, revisiting the past and being like, these diary entries could have been written 3 years ago. Like, aha, something needs to change, right? And maybe it's not a cycle for you. Maybe it's this aha around, I keep running into this issue at work, aha, how do we fix this? Or like, I keep having this delay, aha, maybe there's too much on my plate, and that's why I'm being asked to slow down. Like, there can be an aha embedded within the delays and frustrations, as infuriating as delays and frustrations can be. I kind of know a little bit about that with my untimely flight cancellation. Can you see I'm a little bitter? I'm a little bitter just because the airline that shan't be named, I rode really hard for them. I have the credit card. I flew them exclusively, and it's just gonna take some time to get over it. It just really is. They really just did me dirty. Because it's one thing, it's weather. I get that, but this was not weather. This was not weather. So anyways, creating that moment for that aha around, I'm running late. Aha, I need to start putting in structures so that I'm not constantly running late. Or like, aha, this issue keeps coming up in my relationship. We need to have a conversation about this, right? It's this energy around something's not working. Our emotions are trying to show us that something's not working. Our emotions are trying to show us something. Like, what are we gonna do about it? It's almost like a spotlight around either a solution or an idea, or even just an awareness of a cycle or a pattern that we've been stuck in. So I just want to encourage you on Saturday to be open to aha moments, be open to insights, journal, reflect, certainly with Mercury retrograde. I would say it's helpful for communication, but I just want you to be mindful because Sun is ego, Mercury is communication. Sometimes with Sun Mercury, we have a very exceptionally hard time seeing outside of ourselves, right? A lot of people have Sun Mercury, not all y'all, love you guys, but some with Sun Mercury can talk more than they listen, because Sun is ego, Mercury is words, so they can really align themselves and their identity with what it is that they communicate and have a hard time seeing other people's opinions. So I'm just saying, on Saturday, it can be helpful for clarifying communication, but also if you and someone else aren't seeing eye to eye, it's not the most conducive energy to try to convince someone to see things your way. All you can do is what's in your corner. Observe the patterns, make the shifts that Mercury retrograde is trying to make you to shift, and keep it moving. And so on Saturday, still allowing big emotions, like the Cancer moon does trine Neptune within the morning. So again, sensitivity at a zenith. And then the Cancer moon opposes Pluto. So there can be tense emotions. The moon is void at 2:23, and then it enters Leo at 6:40, and the vibe shifts, my love. The vibe shifts, because then the Leo moon trines Jupiter in Aries. So Saturday night is my pick for going out. Like, Leo moon wants to be seen. It's almost like now that we've cleansed and we've released, like, we've cried it out. Don't you feel so energized after a good cry? Like, I am telling you, there is something about it where it's just like, okay, now I'm cried. Now I'm ready to put on a cute shirt, be seen, dance, do something fun, feel optimistic about life with the trine to Jupiter. Like, definitely a great time to do something fun. Doesn't need to be the club. It could be a board game with friends. It could be a long walk, but doing something that makes you feel like you again, or makes you feel excited about life again. Charges up your life force. On Sunday the 8th, in the morning time, that Leo moon opposes Venus in Aquarius. So just be mindful around too much of a good thing. Sometimes we can, go a little overboard when it comes to the pancakes that we make. The Leo moon then goes on to sextile Mars, so it'd be great to kind of move your body a little bit. And we also have Mercury trine Uranus. So if Saturday was the the awareness round, there is a cycle here. There is a pattern here. My emotions are trying to tell me something is trying to get my attention with all of these delays, or with me trying to launch this project, and there's all of this resistance. Like, why is there so much resistance on Saturday? It's like, maybe there's something wrong here. Maybe there's something I'm being guided to reflect on or to tune into. If Saturday was the Sunday is the solution around, okay, maybe if I put in my software that I need a 15 delay in between meetings, I won't constantly be late. Or, maybe if me and my partner have one night off a week, there won't be this feeling of suffocation, or whatever message came through. Like, just being open on Sunday for insights and revelations. And keep in mind, all of these Mercury aspects will be repeated, right? During Mercury's journey, it basically repeats all of these. So Mercury trine Uranus still has one more when it's direct. So essentially, when aspects happen 3 times, the first time is essentially the introduction. So think kind of events that came up on December. Second time is sort of the integration, also sometimes known as the test around, okay, this is being drawn to your awareness. What are you going to do about it? And the third time is the graduation, when we can really see that story kind of wrap up. And that makes more sense when it comes to like long-term transits within our world. But I also just want you to be open with this Mercury retrograde. If this is the integration or the test, right? I want you to observe, okay, what is Mercury retrograde trying to get me to realize? And what am I going to do about it, right? Try your best not to stick your head in the sand and avoid that there is an issue, or that there is a cycle, or there is a pattern. Because when we avoid it, suppress the emotions, no, I'm not sad. Nope, I'm not sad. Oh, no, I don't need to look at those old pictures. They're going to make me sad. I don't want to do it. Then we're also suppressing so many other beautiful components, right? A solution, a recognition of certain patterns within ourselves or within our world. Also our own intuition. Like I said, the luminary of emotions and astrology is also the luminary of intuition. So, and that's not a coincidence. Like, they are connected. Like, our emotions can be trying to tell us something. Hence why our Cancer loves are so deeply intuitive, okay? So allowing those emotions, even if they are intense, like with the Leo moon, Leo moon's a little extra. So if you're gonna feel something, feel it big. Why not just be sad when you can play old footage and make it a big sad? Like, giving yourself permission to make these emotions big, right? To know that it's okay to be feeling them, right? And just with the Leo sextile Chiron, there can be something deeply healing when you make those emotions big. Make it a big deal. Be like one of those girls in the movies, and why not just grieve about your breakup? Why not, make it a big deal, have all your friends come over, cry into tissues, watch romance movies. So just make it a big deal. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, as the full moon gets fuller and fuller, I allow my emotions to get bigger and bigger. Again, big emotion, big feels, big love, big anger, big sadness. Embrace it all. Allow it all. The full spectrum of emotions is where these messages are coming to the surface. When we allow ourselves to really deeply reflect, when we allow ourselves to grieve, when we allow ourselves to sit in the uncomfortable feelings, we also allow ourselves the space to tap into those feelings of joy and those feelings of love. Like, really just allowing all of our emotions, just thinking them as visitors, sitting down, giving them a cup of tea, seeing what they have to tell you, what they have to show you, and allowing yourself to cleanse. Like, this week isn't about revisiting the past and getting stuck there, right? It's about revisiting the past and seeing what it's trying to tell us about our future. The past is both static as well as dynamic. It is something that cannot be shifted. It cannot be changed. But every time we revisit it, we can have a different takeaway. There can be a different message that we find within those diaries, a different piece that we tune into when visiting our video footage. Like, I'm telling you, that day I was not in the mood to film. I was so frustrated with my equipment. I was just like kind of burnt out, kind of over it. I mean, Mercury retrograde has been with my 10th house. It's not you guys, I swear, it's me. It's me. Mercury retrograde has been in my 10th house, so it's just created a lot of burnout, just like lack of motivation. And there might have been other times that I would have revisited that video footage and tuned into, oh, my relationship with my friends or whatever. But that was a message that was for me at that moment. Like literally hearing my 8-year-old self be like, I would never complain. If I was in front of a camera, I would never complain. I would be so happy. And I was like, and here I am complaining. Here I am complaining. So even though the past, those scrapbooks, those diaries, those video footage will always be static, it's shifting because we tune into different messages. There's different messages for us at different points in our life. So I deeply recommend at some point to take a moment to reflect. Reflect past iterations of yourself, past chapters within your journey, perhaps past ambitions that you've had with Mercury retrograde and Capricorn. As frustrating as it can be, see these opportunities and try to find the gift within them. Like, okay, this is so frustrating that I can't get home. I can't get back to San Diego so that I can film Magic Monday, have it up on time. But how beautiful that I have this extra time, you know, with my family. Or with Mercury retrograde bringing to the surface, how annoying that I had the technical difficulty and I lost this really important document, but then you rewrite it and it's even more powerful and it's even stronger. Even when it's frustrating, there can be a reason or significance to these delays, just trying to find the beauty within it, the message within it, the reflection within it as well. So my loves, that is our week. Thank you so much for being here. I apologize that it was late, not blaming anyone, but kind of blaming someone. Again, guys, I'm totally kidding if anybody works for that airline. I really do not have beef. I would never want a plane to be flown by anybody, truly, if it's not completely safe to do so. So all good. And I know a lot of people's travel was impacted so much more than mine was. So all good. I find the beauty within it. It's just like a bit that I have with myself. Please ignore me. I'm just having a great little time over here. This was really fun to film. Like, I really feel like revisiting that video footage reignited my love for filming because as I highlighted, I was just feeling a little burnt out. I kept having all these issues with like my equipment and I just was feeling a lack of motivation to sit down and film. And I love this. You know, I needed to remind myself, like, you've always loved this. You love this. You're just not taking care of yourself. So when you're burnt out, you see your entire world differently. So that was a huge message for me and I really felt the shift sitting down today because I haven't filmed in a while and just revisiting the 8-year-old self who was like, please, I'll do anything. Just get me in front of a camera. I'll never complain. I'm like, here I am complaining. So anyways, my loves, I'm wishing you all a beautiful week. Make sure to RSVP to align during the Aquarius new moon so you can really tune into the overall themes of the year ahead. Sending you so much love. I hope you had a beautiful holiday season and a lovely new year. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical.